My name is Zellers, and I am with Rutgers Cooperative Extension. I'm going to tell you a little bit about that in a minute. Today, you're here to see the 8 dimensions of wellness, and I'll explain a little bit about that in a minute. Okay. I'd like to give you a little bit of information before we get started about Rutgers Cooperative Extension. Rutgers Cooperative Extension is my employer. And just to give you a little background on it, Rutgers Cooperative Extension is a collaboration between the County Chosen Board of Freeholders, Rutgers, the state university, thus the Rutgers, and the USDA's National Institute of Food and Agriculture. And we currently, Rutgers Cooperative Extension has faculty or staff in 21 of the 21 counties. So we have people in all the different counties across New Jersey. Everybody asks me, I work down here in Cape May County out in front of the ACCC for Cape May Courthouse. People always say, do you drive to New Brunswick every day? And no, I do not. I'm fortunate enough to work right here where I live in Cape May County, which is very exciting. And we offer this service throughout the state of New Jersey. We have 3 departments. They consist of agriculture and natural resources, 4-H youth development, and then my department, which is family and community health sciences, or FCHS. And the mission of FCHS is to provide outreach in New Jersey and beyond on topics related to nutrition, chronic disease prevention, food safety, and overall wellness, which is our topic today. And we hope, I'm going to share at the end some of our resources. We have a lot of free resources for those of you that are here in person. We have at the Ocean City Library, we have them located over at the table there. You're welcome to take anything that you like. And then we also have free resources online. We have a Facebook page, we have a web page. So we have a lot of resources that you can obtain free information, from recipes to fact sheets, all kinds of stuff we have available to you. So I encourage you to check it out. And like I said, I'll share that at the end of the presentation. I'd like to, before we get started, also thank the Ocean City Library for having me today. They're working on trying to get some more wellness to the Ocean City community, and we're going to be doing this as a series. So we'll do all 10 8 dimensions of wellness. So there's an introduction, then we break it down into each section, and then we have a conclusion. So we'll be doing one a month throughout the year. And of course, Rutgers, as a flashback to Rutgers here, is a affirmative action and equal opportunity employer. This is, if you could just, I'll flash this up at the end as well. If you could also just take a minute and take your phones out and take this survey. Brooke is doing a poll, as you can see, at the people that are online, if the people online could take that survey. But the folks that are here, I'll put this up at the end. And this just is an evaluation of the teaching today and what you thought of the lesson, which is important to the university. They like to know that I'm not at the beach with Karen, having a good old time. So we have a sign-in sheet and then the evaluation and I'll give that to you again at the end. All right, so as I mentioned earlier today when we started, there's 10 sessions of the 8 dimensions of wellness. This is a curriculum that I have put together with a colleague of mine, Jen Shakaitis. Jen covers all the state of New Jersey, and I, like I said, cover Cape May County. I'm the educator for Cape May County. And the 8 dimensions of introduction is what we're going to cover today. Today we're really going to break it down into like simple little excerpts of what they are, the 8 dimensions, but then when we dive in a little deeper, if you join us again for each of the dimensions. So just if you're interested, those people that are here in person or the folks that are online, if you want to just say, you know, something that maybe you feel an area of wellness or what you think wellness is. Does anybody have any indications of what they think wellness is? It's a pretty wide used term. Any? Go ahead. Yeah, mental and physical well-being. Anybody else? That's a common answer, the mental and physical well-being. So think about that a minute. I'm going to go over the objectives here. We have 4 objectives to the class today. We're going to identify those dimensions of wellness that we talked about. We're going to define overall wellness. We're going to understand how the 8 dimensions of wellness interact with one another to create positive balance. And you'll hear me say that word a lot, positive balance. And then we're going to discover ways to achieve and maintain and even improve wellness for better overall wellness. Yeah.
The 8 dimensions of wellness, are they definitively concrete, already established?
So that's a really interesting question. For the people that are online, someone just asked me if they are established. And we're going to talk a little bit about that as we go through in this introduction here about what the 8 dimensions of wellness are. And I'll tell you why Jen and I decided to write this curriculum, because our department says that one of our missions is to teach people wellness. And I said, well, when I joined the department, what is wellness? Just like I just asked all of you, what is wellness? You know, it's a very thrown out there term. I even heard it one day. I was watching TV and I heard somebody advertising a car, and they said, if you bought the car, you could have wellness. And I thought, what? So it's really out there, and we'll talk a little bit about that to answer your question. But yeah, so that's why we kind of decided to write this, because we said if we have it in our mission as a department, then we need to come up with a definition of this and what it means, and be able to teach it to folks as well. Yay. Okay, there we go. Okay, so what is wellness? Currently, the wellness industry, as I said, it's used all over. It's a $4 trillion business. So just like there's a lot of things out there about dieting and how to get the right diet, that's a diet industry, huge industry. But now the wellness industry has also become quite a big industry. People have latched on to this idea of wellness, but what does it really mean? You know, how do we define that? So you might have heard it, you know, some people will say physical, mental wellness. Some folks will, you know, say spas or yoga classes, maybe even meditating, which, you know, that can all be part of it as well. Sometimes essential oils, you'll hear people talk about wellness with essential oils. And, you know, maybe some of these things can all contribute to it, but it's really kind of a vague concept. It's a catch-all concept that people use to define different things. So let's take a little bit different look. I'm sorry, my mouse is at what it is. So can it be defined? It turns out that it actually can be defined, and that there is a concept behind it and understanding that is actually based in research. So one of the things I'll tell you that I didn't mention in the beginning is Rutgers Cooperative Extension, as part of Rutgers University. Rutgers University is R1 university. So for those of you that don't know what that means, there's levels of research. So R1 means that we're at a high level of research. So we hold ourselves to a very strict standard. People will often come to me and say, you know, you didn't say that I should use this and that and that. Well, if it's not in the research, then we're not going to provide it for you, because we want to make sure we're giving you evidence-based information. So when Jen and I started looking at how we could define these terms, we went to SAMSHA, which stands for the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, and they created a definition of wellness. And this definition includes a holistic approach, which again, it means it's not based on one idea, but rather the functioning of several concepts to create this balance. So let's look at a little bit more about this definition. So because it's become a catch-all term and it's used frequently and it's rather vague, as I said, a definitive explanation of what it is can, you know, and how we defined it is really important. So SAMHSA envisions wellness not as absence of disease, illness, and stress, but as the presence of a positive, remember that, positive purpose in life, satisfying work and play, joyful relationships, a healthy body, and living environment and happiness. So that's a big definition. A lot of positive words there, right? But one of the things you'll hear me say throughout the course of these 10 different classes is positive. It's kind of that looking at the glass half full idea. Yeah, I can go back for you, sure. No worries. And one of the things we're hoping to do by designing this curriculum, and we've had people ask us for it already, we're right now, I'm in the process of getting all 10 lessons coherent, and Jen and I, each of us took turns writing some of them. So I'm trying to get them also, they're cohesive. we're going to package as a curriculum, and we're going to start sharing them out with different people. So I've had schools ask me, you know, the wellness counselors at school have asked me for it. I've had, you know, preventative care folks ask for them. So we're trying to package this so this can be used in a lot of different ways. And I have a grandparents raising grandchildren program that I run also down in Cape May Courthouse once a month. And we're using this as the model. So it's a caregiver wellness program. And we're using the 8 dimensions as the model of how we help the caregivers care for themselves so that they can stay healthy doing the important work that they do. Okay. Yep. All right. So these are, it's just to get them out there, original. These are the 8 dimensions. They're listed in alphabetical order. They are not in order of importance. SAMSHA, this is an example of how SAMHSA lists them out. They're listed in this order for their materials purposes, and we did it the same way, just for consistency's sake. The definitions here are important. I'd like to, again, point out some of the keywords that you should keep in mind for maintaining your personal wellness. So think about satisfying relationships, pleasant and stimulating. That's in there a couple times. Satisfaction, recognizing, knowledge, enrichment, need, connection, and belonging, support system, and purpose. So if you think about these key terms as you're trying to find wellness and define wellness for yourself, it'll help you to be more mindful about your goals and creating achievement for wellness. And it also will help you to stay positive. As I said, it's really important that you keep that positive mindset. Okay, so an important part of well-being is balance, and the balance of the 8 dimensions of wellness. So it is a very cyclical, you know, kind of goes round and round, one complements the other. And because we each have individual needs, we have individual preferences and capabilities, what we consider balance personally, what I consider it, is going to be different than what some of you consider in the audience, and also the people tuning in remotely. Some people may feel very balanced socially, so they have a great social life and they feel like they're good in their social wellness, but physically they might want to strive for better wellness balance to keep that moving and feel balanced overall. After reflecting on where you feel balanced, so it's important to take a minute and try to say to yourself, where do I feel balanced? You need to, you're going to have, if you really want to participate in, you know, active wellness for yourself, you're going to have conversations with yourself frequently about if things aren't feeling off, where do I feel like I might not be so balanced? Try to remember that achieving wellness is a constant task. That's why you have to check in with yourself. It's not a quick fix. There's no magic bullet. And for us to rebalance, we need to check in all the time, and you're going to have to rebalance on some things. Some days you're going to feel really great socially, maybe. And then all of a sudden you say, oh, my social wellness is not so great. And I've said social wellness a couple times because we've discovered that there's a lot of research being done now, especially after the COVID-19 pandemic, that their social wellness is so important, and it's especially so critical as we age, that we keep that social interaction going. So an example of the ripple effect that the social dimensions can have on one another, your occupational wellness. So for some people, I say this all the time because I do work with a lot of people that have retired. Good for you. I'm going to be 95 before I can retire. But if you're retired, occupational wellness. So they don't say professional wellness, they say occupational wellness. So if you're somebody that retired, your occupational wellness might include volunteerism, social interactions, or things you do as hobbies. If you're still in employment, occupational wellness could include your profession, but it could also include those other things that I mentioned for those folks that are retired. So sometimes your occupational wellness could also help to fulfill your financial wellness if you have a good financial supporting job, or it could help to fulfill your social wellness, your environmental wellness, even, and even your intellectual, spiritual, and emotional wellness. So we're going to take a closer look at how everything kind of interacts and why that is so important and critical to all of us. So again, these are the 8 dimensions. And you can see here in this visual depiction that they don't stand alone. They're all kind of touching each other, and they are very cyclical. The 8 dimensions, I don't think I said them out loud yet, emotional, spiritual, intellectual, physical, environmental, financial, occupational, and social. So yes, mental, you can tell that mental wellness is in there, and physical wellness, but there's also many other concepts that go along with that. So let's take a minute and break down each of the dimensions and try to get a better understanding of what each one means. And hopefully by breaking them apart, it'll help you to do that evaluation, take that time to figure out where things are going really well, and where and how you might need a little bit more positive reinforcement for things as you move along. I think it's important too to look at not just when you feel balanced, you want to make sure that you're checking in with yourself. So when things are going really great, stop a minute and take a positive, like, hey, things are really going well. I feel really great. I'm out being physically active. I'm getting good sleep. I have good nutrition. Things are going really well for me in all 8 dimensions. So check in when things are going well, because that's going to give you a better indication when things aren't feeling so great of how you can give a better analysis of what's happening. Sorry, I have a little leftover cold from the weekend. All right, so let's start out with emotional wellness. There's 3, so within each category, which within each dimension, there's categories or areas that SAMHSA breaks down for us to examine to make us better able to manage each dimension of wellness. So in emotional, there's 3 areas. The 3 areas include feelings and emotions. Well, that's a fun one to tackle, right? A lot of people have a hard time with that. Self-care, another one that can be really difficult. And then the real zinger, stress. So there's a lot of things within emotional wellness that can be a little bit hard to manage, but knowing how this is broken down and divided can be helpful to you to kind of manage things better. It'll help you to know when things need to be attended to, or maybe not. Things are going great. So it'll help you to know as you break those down. And again, if you're not feeling quite well, and you feel like things are really spiraling out of control, especially with your emotional wellness, then you want to take a minute and check in with somebody. I say this all the time when I talk about mental wellness. It's really important for mental and emotional wellness. If we have a broken arm, we go to the doctor. If things are not feeling well and you know it, or someone loves it, then make sure to get to the doctor and get it checked out, get professional help for it. Not being emotionally well can also cause physical aches and pains. So if you know somebody that needs help, please make sure to encourage them or go yourself if need be. It's a very important part of our overall health. All right, so we're going to break this down a little bit into those 3 sections. If you want to have balanced emotional wellness and do things that can improve your mental and emotional wellness, take a look at that positivity and make sure that you're having a lot of positivity in your life. To assist with your feelings and emotional wellness, be non-judgmental. Acknowledge your feelings. Find safe relationships where you can express your feelings. And when you're faced with challenges, recognize that these are not challenges, but rather opportunities for growth and for learning. Know your limitations, that one's always hard for me. Know your limitations and learn from mistakes you make. Every situation can be a learning experience to improve an outcome for next time. And then finally, be sure to take responsibilities for your actions. This is hard sometimes, but especially if we do, it'll hold ourselves accountable, and it really sets us up to gain respect from others. So it's important to take responsibility for your actions. And again, when I talk about these things, I want to be sure to tell you, They're big chunks, right? So just if you look at just emotional wellness, there's 3 sections in emotional wellness. So don't go home and say, I'm going to be emotionally well now. I'm going to make myself well because Chris said to do feelings and emotional wellness. She said self-care and stress, manage stress. I'm going to do that today. Well, then guess what? You're going to stress yourself out. So you have to take these things a little bit at a time. You have to manage them, realize it's not going to happen overnight, and make little steps to get things to be more manageable and make you feel emotionally well. So I would say pick something and then start with, maybe start with one of these things, and we'll talk a little bit about how to do that. But start with one of these things and then take little steps towards it. After a few weeks, add things in. It takes our usually, generally speaking, about 6 weeks for a good habit to form. So, when you're doing something and it doesn't work after 3 days, well, you gave up too soon. So keep in mind that it's going to take a little while for you to do those things. All right, under the section of self-care, again, really important stuff, but it's often hard to achieve, especially for those of us that are caring for others. So be sure to create self-care in your life to balance your emotional wellness. And you can do this by participating in supportive social interactions, asking for help when you need it. A lot of times if we ask for help, people are really willing to give it. And it makes us feel a little lighter. I came in today scattered. I had my give out, my handouts for everybody, and Karen was nice enough to put that out there. But I'm a control freak, so I wanted to do it. But it was so helpful to me that she did, so it made me feel a little bit better. Thanks, Karen. So ask for that help so you can take care of yourself and what you need. Try to find things that make you calm. Now, everybody always tells you to meditate. For some people that are really wiry like myself, it's a little difficult to do that. It takes practice. But there's other things you can do. It doesn't just have to be meditating. You could exercise in nature, go for a walk. We live in Cape May County is a beautiful area that we can enjoy nature. There's a lot of science now behind exercise in nature and the benefits it brings us. They're starting to do work in, nature bathing and things like that, where you spend time in nature to feel better and be more grounded. So think about doing something like that. Maybe participate in a class or talk to a friend. Again, those good relationships that came up in the last area. Do things that bring you joy regularly, and then that'll help you to reinforce that positive emotional wellness and make you feel a lot more balanced. Have a daily routine or schedule so that you feel more in control. When you have a waking time, a sleeping time, these are things that can really help you feel much more emotionally balanced. So take a minute to try to schedule yourself, stick to that schedule, have a plan for obligations so you're not rushed. That'll give you that little extra time to have that calm in life and reduce the stress. And then finally, try to eat your meals and snacks without distractions, not in front of the phone, in front of the TV, computer. I know, especially people that care for others, sometimes that's hard. I don't think I've had a hot meal in 31 years, but at the same time, it's important for you to take that time to try to do those things and share the meal. There's science behind family meals and how important they are in creating healthy children and families and adults. All right, and then my personal favorite, stress, right? Who's not a little bit stressed about something sometimes? So stress can take an emotional toll, on our emotional wellness, but it can also interact a lot with the other dimensions of wellness. You want to try to find techniques to manage your stress, and that's going to help you with your self-care as well, if you can manage that a little bit better. So you want to try to find things that are triggers for stress. Is that being late something that's making you stressful? Goes back to self-care. We're going to plan better to be where we need to be. Maybe get out of bed a little bit earlier. I know, not one of my favorite things to do, but maybe just that getting up a little earlier could help us to be a little less stressed during the day. It's also really important to recognize what your stressors are and go back to a time when you had that stressor, a similar situation with that stressor, and think about how it passed. It's important to recognize that stress is there, but it will pass too. And how can you deal with that to best reduce the stress this time so that you're not in it? And I'll give you an example. I was in a bad car accident, so I was really stressed out about it. So to correlate what I'm saying here, I was having a really hard time in driving. I was always stressed. If my husband was driving, I was climbing up in the back seat, like, really, really stressed and anxious over this. So what I tried to do was plan ahead. So I'd say, okay, I have to go on this drive and this is what it's going to take. I planned ahead. I prepared myself mentally for it. And I recognized that the stressor would go away. And once I started doing that, it helped me better to prepare. So now when I get in the car, sometimes, yes, I'm still really stressed, but I can cope with it a lot better. So that's just an example of how the planning could really help with, your emotional wellness. Sometimes having a gratitude journal, just waking up in the morning and thinking about the things you're thankful for, that can give you a positive mindset, and that can also help to reduce stress. Don't make it a negative thing where you say, "Oh, I have all these great things to be positive for, and I can't be positive." Sometimes that happens, but try to find what's positive in the world to give you that positive emotional wellness. Okay, so environmental wellness. The three areas of environmental wellness include green living, change of scenery, and home and work environment. And environmental wellness can mean the environment itself, so outside and what, the world around us, but it also can be relative and to your positive personal environment. So you want to make sure that you're balancing those out. Some of them we don't have control over, but we can make a contribution, right? So green living, change of scenery, and home and work environment. There are three areas to keep in mind here. Environmental wellness for the entire planet. It's really hard to manage it personally, but you can do things like recycling, limit your power and water use, or take public transportation. I know that's hard here in Cape May County sometimes. Ride share. Something that we can do is walk or ride bikes, which is great. That can help with the overall environment. So do things like get regular tune-ups on your car to keep it, the emissions good, and that can contribute to the overall environment. Otherwise, it can be a little bit difficult for us to control that environment, but there are little things we can do, and that'll make you feel empowered and good about what you're doing. Another area is changing the scenery. And as I mentioned before, it's important to spend time in nature. A lot of science going into that. Make time to enjoy the outdoor environment regularly and notice the sounds around you. Like just take a minute and pause. Notice what's, the sound around you, maybe the cool breeze on your face. That's going to help you. If you're somebody that can't meditate, being positive and taking in the positive scenery around you could really help to make you foster that sense of emotional wellness and less stress. Workspace, home and workplace. So usually before I do this presentation in my office, I take my camera is focused on the side of my desk, my junk pile. So I take the junk pile and I move it. So while people are watching, they don't see Chris's mess. But I do take time it's important to do this. And I do too take time. It's hard. We all have a lot going on. But when you have that clutter, it clutters what's going on in your mind. It can impact your emotional wellness. It can, all different types of wellness, your occupational. So you want to make sure that your space is organized, both living and working. Try to have that, tackle little piles at a time if you want. Try to make it healthier, whether that's less noise, right? So sometimes the environment can provide a lot of noise for you. I always say, at the end of the season, I love when people are here, but at the end of the season, there's like the hum goes away. There's just a hum. So that's like the noise. It's there. We might not recognize it. So we get that nice quiet. And then, if it's unsurmountable, take those little checks at a time and make it come out a little bit at a time so you get rid of it. Make your space match your personal style. So, if you're a little funky, you like colors and flowers and all that kind of stuff, put that in there. That'll make you feel more at home. If you have a lot of stuff, Don't tell them what my garage looks like. If you have a lot of stuff, it's my husband's, then, donate that stuff, clean it up and just try to get rid of it. Give it to a friend that can use it. Tell your kids to get all their stuff out of your house, those kind of things, because that's going to make a lot less clutter. Remember that your memories, this is a hard thing. A lot of people have a hard time letting go of things, because they have memories in them. And I understand that. But remember that your memories are not in the item, they're up here. So a suggestion for that, if you're having a hard time letting go of things because you're worried about the memories and the things that they hold, take a picture of that item. My husband had trophies from the 9th through 12th grade, and I was like, this has got to go. So I said, can we take a picture of it? So you'll still have the picture somewhere. It's a lot less space than the trophy. So just try to find ways that you can clean up that area, make it a little more pleasing to you so that you're able to be environmentally well. Financial wellness. And financial wellness means finding a sense of satisfaction from not only your current finances, but your future finances. There's 4 subgroups in this area, and they include work, checking and savings accounts, debt, and retirement or other accounts. And obviously, financial wellness is important because we want to make sure that, we're not going back to emotional wellness and having some stress over it. It's important to find ways to spend your money and budget your money, that are creative. So when you're considering your financial wellness, think about how you feel when you're financially secure. What does that feel like? Again, like that planning and thinking that goes into overall wellness. Think about how you feel when you're financially stressed. And then knowing how this impacts your well-being, it's important to plan and be prepared, and think about how you can better be prepared by evaluating those things. So taking time to do that, to evaluate that, could help, make the wellness a little bit easier in this category. When you look at the 4 areas, work that supports your financial wellness, you should establish how your current work situation is impacting your finances. Does your employment help you meet financial obligations? Do you find passion in your work? And if you're not employed, think about if you're looking for a paid or volunteer work in that area. And once you have visited these questions, try to find gainful employment by seeking out a job in the classified ads of a newspaper. Looking at job applications on your computer, your phone. Use social applications like LinkedIn to help you find something that's more satisfying if you're not in satisfying and gainful employment. And it's good to know, it's good to have your resume up to date. I'm required to do that, and I know it's a task to do it, but both when seeking and not seeking a job, it's good, again, that preparing for what if. Even if volunteer opportunity, you might need to have a resume available. So it's good to keep that updated so it's ready to go when that opportunity rears and peeks its head up. For checking and saving accounts, these opportunities are useful, and it's important to know what your checking and savings account do, so you can manage, save, and spend well. So if you, for instance, I know this happened with my kids, they set up those accounts like when you go away to college. And now as adults, that's not really functioning very well for them. So where can they, reevaluate that, talk to your bank and kind of revisit what the account's doing for you. Maybe in retirement, it looks a little bit different than when you were employed for the, what you're being charged, fees. Try to get, things going that matter. Try to get a lower rate on checking or cost, or higher rate in savings, so that as you progress through life and work cycles, it's useful for what you need it for. Try to use the tools that your bank offers too, because there's a lot of them out there. These will help you to meet your financial goals. Things like spreadsheets can also help to meet those, and holding yourself accountable. If you can't hold yourself accountable for spending, try to find somebody that will, a friend or family member, that'll keep you on track. Make sure that you're balancing your checkbook. I know that that's something that sounds pretty easy to do, but it's not something that's common. This will help to avoid overdraft fees or fees that you're not aware of. Check your credit card statements. My husband always regularly checks the credit card statement, and he finds stuff that we get charged that we don't know about. And there's actually apps now that they look at where you're spending on things that you don't even know you're spending on. So you can do that yourself by even just checking out your credit card statement. And I get all the time, what was this for? So, just to find out what you're spending and how you're spending it. Be aware of what you're spending. That goes in the same line. For your debt, there's always a lot to spend, and debt, if you can spend it down quicker, then try to do that. Find ways to do that. Like maybe on a mortgage, if you can pay a little bit more a month so you're getting rid of it quicker, that would help and make it, less demanding on you later in life. Talk with a professional, or attend a class on how to be aware of debt so that you're ready for that. And there's a lot of great places that you can get debt reduction. We talk about that during the financial wellness. Be aware of scams. The person that keeps texting you about your Easy Pass that's a scam. I get that like 3 times a day now. Don't click on links, be aware of scams, keep up to date on them, ask family members if you're not sure, and never click on a link. If you have, people do not call you and ask you for your information or text you or email you. So don't fall victim to that. And then try to look at your future. And that can be really hard. Plan for retirement if you haven't. If you're in retirement, constantly reevaluate to make sure the market's doing what you need it to do to sustain you. That's really important. And if finances do become too sparse, then think of ways that you could, maybe start saving or change that up a little bit so that you're in a better situation. Also, local departments of aging and disability offer retirement planning and tax preparation. So check with local government opportunities for what could be out there to help you save. And also extension services. We have a lot of different things that we offer throughout. We don't in Cape May County offer anything on financial planning and tax preparation, but there are some that do. So you can, a lot of times if I'm looking for something from Cooperative Extension, I'll just Google Cooperative Extension because I know that they have good stuff. Up there, Utah State University Extension has a debt and financial website that you can go to, and that will help you. They have a great little app there that you can use. And again, free, developed by Extension. Not us, but another great extension. Okay. So intellectual wellness has 4 areas, which include personal interest, education, brain exercise, and conversation. And intellectual wellness is important, not just as you're young, but even as we age, and maybe even more so as we age, because we want to keep that brain functioning well. We want to keep our curiosity up and be able to learn and grow. And I always say, you're never too old to learn something new, right? So it helps to do that. So you want to focus your intellectual interest on personal needs. So for example, something inspiring, something that helps you personally, maybe teaching a class, reading something new, or taking a new class. There's a lot, you all are here at the library. That's a good start for your emotional wellness, taking one of their great classes. A lot of places offer free classes, no charge. Maybe a new hobby or skill. Check out what you like to do. And when we were young in school, we didn't always have the ability to learn what we wanted to learn. There was stuff you had to learn. I still haven't figured out what X is for, but I was told it was part of math. So you want to make sure that you're learning things that you want to learn as an adult. And you have that opportunity to do that. So go ahead and do it. And that'll help expand your intellectual wellness. Again, we're constant learners, and as constant learners, that will contribute to your intellectual wellness. Take a class, professional development to expand your knowledge, but do what is appealing and interesting for you to learn to continue education. Just like our body has muscles throughout it, our mind, our brain is a muscle, and you want to do things to challenge that. So you want to stay sharp to prevent memory loss and signs of dementia. And it may be easy as borrowing a book from the library. I have that in here. So we want to borrow from the library, read something new, play memory games, keep up with current affairs to try to engage your mind, have conversations with people that are, you don't want to argue with people, but, respectful, challenging conversations to keep that intellectual well-being up to par. And also if you want to, you can participate in the intellectual dimension of wellness, and I'll give you more information on that. So, occupational wellness, there's 3 areas of occupational wellness. They include work relationships, balance, and accomplishment. And again, if you're already retired, volunteering could help to fulfill this area of wellness. Being involved in clubs and social activities, could also be beneficial. So work relationship is the first area, and these can be a little bit tricky sometimes. And honestly, if you're in a work relationship, people that your colleagues that you work with, you spend more time with them than you do with your family a lot of time. So you want to have good work relationships. You want to stick to your value system within that relationship at work. You want to make sure that your values are not being challenged. And if they are, you want to find ways to address that so that you're not feeling bad about yourself. You're sticking to what's important to you. It also includes communication with supervisors and colleagues. Having that communication that's respectful will help you feel well at work. And you also want to accomplish job and volunteer satisfaction in your life, that's aligned with what you're doing. So you want to make sure that it's fulfilling. Sometimes, we start out, we have to go to work, because we got to, put food on the table and clothes on the back. But you want to make sure you're doing something that you love, and you feel that you're making an impact in. If you can't do that with your employment, with what you're getting paid for, then try to do that in a hobby or by volunteering, to get that satisfaction. So you feel that sense of accomplishment in some way. Balancing work and personal time. This can be difficult. We're plugged in all the time. I can get my email at any second. It's pinging on my phone from work. So try to schedule your free time just like you would your work time. My calendar is really tight at work. I try to make my calendar at home that way too, so that I feel good about my work-life balance. Schedule vacations, take those vacations. It's like giving money back. Take breaks during the day, and on weekends, so that you'll be free of work and that your mind gets that time to kind of quiet down and get the rest that it needs to rejuvenate yourself so that you can get back on the horse, and get back in there and work again after you've rested. Okay. Finally, you want to take time to recognize your accomplishments and have a sense of pride in your work. So give yourself recognition for what you have accomplished. Give yourself positive reinforcement, even if it's something little. You might have a project that you're doing that's broken down into sections. Give yourself a little pat on the back or yay me for getting that done, and be positive with yourself. Like, I got this far, I can keep going. That positive reinforcement with a difficult task or things that you're getting done could really help you to feel better, and keep working and keep going and keep creating that occupational wellness. And then again, we'll have the recognition is on there. Seek recognition for what you're doing. If you're not getting it from a supervisor or coworker, go home and explain it to somebody at home so they understand what that recognition is and the accomplishment that you've made. So you get that pat on the back, not just from yourself, but from other people too. All right, physical wellness. This has a lot in it. There's nutrition, physical activities, sleep, substances, medication, safety, preventative medical care. And physical wellness is always something that is included when people say, what is wellness? It's always something there. So it's important to recognize, that there's more than within physical wellness, there's a whole slew of, 6 subgroups as well. Going. My pointer doesn't want to advance now. There we go. All right. So within each one of these, in early wellness studies, it was noted that physical activity was overlooked for some of the other components of wellness, but now it's often associated with only being the only good physical activity. Or physical wellness is sometimes the only thing people associate with wellness, and that's not true, as we're seeing today. Proper nutrition, eating healthy, all these things contribute to that. So let's take a little bit closer look to that. We want to make sure that we're getting enough quality sleep. This is difficult. If we're not doing some of the other areas of wellness, and especially physical wellness, then we might not be getting good sleep. So we want to make sure we get good quality sleep. And again, in the depths of physical wellness, when we do the individual class, it breaks it down and gives you pointers on how to do this. We want to prepare for sleep properly, unplug, get ready for sleep, have a set time to go to sleep, all those kind of good things to help us get rest. We want to have good nutrition, so we need access to fresh, healthy food. If you don't have that, then check with local food pantries and food banks to make sure that you have those. Try to eat at home as much as you can. It's nice to go out, but you can control sodium amounts and fat and sugar amounts if you eat at home. It's also much more cost effective to eat at home. Set small goals, which I mentioned earlier. You want to make sure you have small goals that you're keeping track of. I have little books for the people that are here in person. If you want to take one of those home with you, you can write some of the things you're doing for your goals as you go through your wellness journey. Also, preventative medicine. So this is something that people don't often think about. Some people are better than others, but having a doctor to see for routine care that you can associate with, communicate with, and have respect with is important. It's important that they know your needs and you know what their, ideals are behind how they treat you. So having that routine care, people are afraid, I don't want to go, I might be sick. Preventative care is more likely to catch something that could be the onset of a serious chronic disease. So it's important to have a regular routine, see a doctor routinely, and talk to your doctor about chronic disease prevention and how these other areas of physical wellness could really help you. Also know your numbers. So what I mean by that is make sure when you go to the doctors and they draw your blood for your annual checkup, which you should be doing a minimal of at least an annual checkup. But when you go for that, look at the results and discuss them with your doctor. So you know if your numbers are borderline for chronic disease, like, your cholesterol, your diabetes numbers, your sugar counts. Know what those numbers are so you can work on improving them. Substances, they're under physical wellness. You want to make sure that if there's a need to quit, you do so. That includes nicotine, legal and over-the-counter drugs, illegal drugs, alcohol, all in the substance area. Make sure that you're taking measures to cut back if you feel like it's become a problem. Quit if needed. And there are a lot of ways you can get help in the area here that I'm glad to share with you if you should need it. You should also try to find a healthy support system. That goes back to our relationships. So make sure that you have relationships that are going to support you, not needing to abuse substances. And be mindful of what triggers you to use substances. Sometimes, I used to do counseling for nicotine to help people stop using nicotine. And sometimes it can be just taking a 10-minute walk to get rid of that trigger. So there are just some things that you want to look at. Make sure to have regular physical activity. For adults, that means 150 to 300 minutes of moderate to vigorous activity a week. They use it weekly. So if you miss a day, it's okay. And then in addition to that, it's 2 days of that include strength training. So you want to do that regularly so that you, can help prevent chronic disease and maintain a healthy weight. You want to add physical activity, move the way you like to move and add it into everyday activities, park further, take the stairs, all those fun recommendations. And this, add it into everyday activities. This might be your one goal today. It's just to add physical activity into your everyday activity to move more. So again, those smaller things that are breaking down into each area. You also want to try to maintain a healthy weight to prevent chronic diseases. And then finally, medication safety. And this is another one people don't think about with their physical wellness overall, but you want to make sure that, you know what you're taking. You're talking to your doctor about what you're taking and the reactions it could have. So identify it if you need to. You want to store it safely. Don't put it in a hot or cold place, like over the oven. That might change what's going on with that. And then also have an emergency list when you go to the doctors so that you can tell them what you're on. Like if there's an emergency, here's what I'm taking so that they know how to best treat you. That's important to have when you go along to the doctors for your medicine. All right, these guys look happy. So they're encountering social wellness, and there's 3 areas of social wellness. That's community, new people, and social time. And as I mentioned earlier, we really realize the impact of social wellness, but there's actually physicians now, for some older people, are asking about their social interaction, and they're prescribing social interaction for people because they need it, because it does so many great things for us, including, emotional wellness, physical wellness, overall, just great stuff. So, this includes support groups, connections with friends and family, and positive and fulfilling relationships. And they're all key to, being well. The support groups, you want to find that positivity again, somewhere. If you're with a group of people and they're not making you feel so good, it's like when when you come home and you'd say to your mom, oh, well, so-and-so is not being nice on the playground. Well, then don't play with that kid. It's the same thing as an adult. Find those positive relationships, be with good people, connect with friends. We drift apart, but try to find ways to send cards or, connect by text or call, but set time aside to do that. Have time for family and friends. I know sometimes that can be extra, but find those interactions that are fulfilling and positive with the people that you know and love the most. Try to meet new people that have similar interests. You're at a group that talking about wellness, strike up a conversation with some people. Say hi, let's be friends, and try to find a way to connect with people with similar interests to you so that you can share socialization with them. Be open to meeting new people. Sometimes that's hard, especially as adults, we get, set in our ways, but a lot of times meeting those new people can really foster great relationships that last a lifetime. Volunteer, back on there again, take time to volunteer so that you can meet new people while you're doing that. And that also is creating social activity. And try to find time that's quality, right? So it's not necessarily about the quantity of time you're spending with people socially, but that's good quality time, so that you're, getting what you need out of the socialization. And set that time aside, just like you do appointments on your calendar. You want to make sure that you have time in there. Spiritual wellness, that's beliefs, involvement, in time. This may or may not include religious activities. Some people see spiritual automatically and they think we're going to talk about religious activities, but that's not the case. It can be. Obviously, you want to have a belief system that includes your valuables, principles, and beliefs. And again, think about how these interact with one another. We talked about an occupational wellness, how it's important to, keep up your values. And that goes back to your spiritual wellness too. Learn about what other people's beliefs are and their religion, and that might open your mind to new things and new spirituality. And find spirituality for better meaning in your life. So use it as kind of a roadmap almost, if you will, that will teach you things and help you to learn and expand yourself. Be involved in community connections that help with your spirituality. Might be yoga, might be religion, could be just walking in nature, but find a community within that element of wellness. Socialize, again, socialize with folks that have those like-minded beliefs to support you. And ask for help. Like, if you're not sure with spirituality, talk to some people and see what they do for their spiritual connection. Meditate comes up. Sometimes that's hard. Meditation is considered a practice. And if you're interested in meditating, I have University of California, I think, has some great meditations that you can use, and they have all different examples, so you can find one that's comfortable for you if you're interested in doing that. And meditating can reduce stress. It can make your relationships a lot better because you might not be so quick to fly off the handle. And it can actually help you sleep better because it teaches our body, again, that practice, it teaches our body to be quiet and calm. Take time to reflect. This might be journaling, but take time to reflect and get to know what you're feeling spiritually. Be open to your beliefs. So be open to what other people think and respectful and positive. And then again, being in nature is a great way to be spiritual because it gives us, again, that time to quiet and be calm. All right, so we went through all of the 8 dimensions of wellness. And, again, couple keys here. Be positive. They're all related. They all kind of interact with each other. Be aware. Look for that balance and what's throwing one thing off and the other thing off. I know if I'm not physically active, then my emotional, my occupational, like everything goes bonkers. So look at what's happening. And find that balance in trying to balance everything out. Set little goals, small goals. We're going to talk about that in a minute. And remember that your wellness can be constantly changing because the world around you is constantly evolving and changing. So you're going to have to check in on that. So before we go today, and I'll take questions in a minute, we're going to do a goal activity. So we thought about the 8 dimensions of wellness, and they're listed here again on the side. And to utilize what you've learned today, I want you just to take a minute and look at the list and say, where would I like to focus? You don't need to set the goal yet, but just think about what dimension, after hearing more about them, would help you the most to start to focus on. So just think about that a second. All right. And now we're going to use the SMART goals. A SMART goal means that we're looking at specific, measured, attainable, realistic, and timely goals. So the SMART goal system was originally created by Dorn and Miller and Cunningham. And you can see here that they have a little acronym for what it means. But if you were maybe setting a physical SMART goal, you would say, okay, specific, I'm going to exercise more by walking. Measured, I'm going to walk 2 days per week. Attainable, I'll walk on Tuesday and Thursday because I know I get done work early on Tuesday and Thursday, so I can go walking, and that's attainable. And then realistic, if I can't walk, maybe because I live in New Jersey and the weather's bad on Tuesday and Thursday, I'm going to go with Saturday and Sunday for my walk. So that's the realistic part. And then timely, I'll start on Tuesday next week and I'll add another day after 1 month. So I know the time frames and how I'm going to do that. So now that you understand how to set a SMART goal, go back to this list here. Let's go back and see if there's something that you'd like to set as your SMART goal. We want to set the goal in one of the dimensions of wellness, use the SMART method, and then revisit that goal if needed. Remember, 6 weeks. It takes 6 weeks. And then attend another 8 dimensions class. So for instance, if you're setting your goal in physical wellness, maybe then make sure to try to catch the physical wellness class. And then most importantly, take time to be well. So anybody have any questions? Let me see here. Online. I don't know if I can see the chat online. Brooke, if there's questions, I might have to have you read them. Brooke is joining us. She's in my office and she's the great Oz right now because she's everything behind the scenes. What's up?
You don't have any questions, but Donna just wanted to thank you for the program, and she said that she really appreciates the virtual capability.
Awesome. Good. 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 All right. This is again the survey. If you take your phones out and could do that, Brooke is releasing the poll for those of you that have joined us online that asked those questions. And then I promised you my contact information. We are going to, this is contact. This has our web page for the state level. It has the local one. And then it has our Facebook pages too. And there's lots of information, like I said, lots of resources. There's some resources on the table. There's a physical activity fact sheet that talks about moving more. And we have a lot of other fact sheets and articles available as well as resources. I would like to add that I'm back again. Is it in March for the next? I don't know. March 18th, is that physical? No, it's whatever, probably emotional wellness. I probably have it. Hold on. March 18th. Yes. Physical wellness. Yep, so we'll be back on the 18th at noon for physical wellness. And again, you can join from online, or you can join, we're gonna do it hybrid again. So you just would register and join that way.